Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Figures of Sport podcast. You're here with your host, Brandon. And this week we've got a lot to talk about. So you guys know that we haven't been on since, the February 13th or something like that. Or 12th, something like that, right before Valentine's Day. So first off, hope you guys all enjoyed your Valentine's Day with your significant other. And if you didn't celebrate with a significant other, if you just celebrated by yourself, I hope you had yourself a great time. Now, Valentine's Day weekend, if I'm not mistaken, did also include some events around the NBA. So we are going to obviously talk about that. But before we jump into that, you guys know what I got to highlight first and foremost. While you're here, like this video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you share this video with your friends, family, coworkers. Doesn't matter who, just share it. So we are sitting at 97 subscribers on the channel. Guys, I really want to hit that 100 subscriber mark by the end or right after this episode comes out. So make sure that you are doing your part and doing me a huge favor and sharing this podcast with your friends, family, coworkers, whatever it is, share it with them. Let's get to 100 subscribers, guys. We are pumping out the content as soon as we are posting these videos, whether it's short forms. If you don't got time for the full video, make sure you are subscribed or following us on Instagram, on TikTok, because we are posting so much content there all the time, guys. So like I said, make sure that you are doing that. Let's hit that 100 subscriber mark real soon. And we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk, like I said, about some NBA stuff. We are also going to talk about the WBC, World Baseball Classic. So I'm super excited about that. So let's jump straight in. And the first thing that I do want to talk about with you guys is going to be All-Star Weekend, the NBA All-Star Weekend recap. So first and foremost, we'll talk about Saturday night's events, which was the three-point contest and the dunk contest. Dunk contest, I'll be honest with you guys, didn't really pay too much attention to it. I did see a little bit of it. I saw a Jackson Hayes dunk that was probably one of the most uninteresting dunks that I have seen in a dunk contest. I also saw someone almost hurt themselves really badly. The dunk contest has fallen off so bad over the last few years. And it's so funny because, you know, now you just kind of see everybody comparing it to years ago when it was Zach LaVine versus Aaron Gordon and having that incredible dunk contest from them. And since then, obviously, things have gone downhill. So Saturday night, the dunk contest has been a huge letdown, but the three-point contest is still the best event on Saturdays as it has been the last few years. Damian Lillard returned from his Achilles tear. He isn't playing, but he did participate in the three-point contest, and he won that event. I had a feeling he was going to win that event. So shout out to Dame for coming back and reclaiming the title. I believe he's a three-time three-point contest winner, 3 or 4 time. And so, yeah, shout out to Dame. Super excited to see how he comes back from that Achilles tear. And he will be back with the Portland Trailblazers next season. So very much looking forward to that. Now let's talk about the actual All-Star game itself, because the actual All-Star game, surprisingly this year, was actually really interesting. So instead of the East and West, and instead of, you know, the top 2 vote getters in each conference, or the top vote getter in each conference selecting their team, this year they pivoted to a round robin kind of tournament, which had 3 teams total. The USA Stars, the USA Stripes, and Team World. So the USA Stars was the younger generation of players, such as Anthony Edwards, kind of leading the way for them. And the USA Stripes was led by guys like Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, LeBron James. And then obviously the World team included guys like Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, those types of players, right? But one of the best parts about this tournament was that they actually played some defense. It was a very interesting matchup. I really enjoyed watching this year's All-Star game. I think they can even improve upon it more. One thing I got to do is shout out Victor Wembanyama from the World Team, because he kind of went out there and set the tone. He actually was trying on defense and on offense and getting guys involved defensively. So the intensity of the game was definitely there, because players definitely seemed to kind of feed off of his energy. So matching that. So shout out to Wembanyama for doing that, because that was definitely a huge reason why this year's All-Star game was that much better to just watch. Very much more enjoyable than it has been in past years. Very lazy, lack of defense. But this year, the 12-minute quarters, allowing those guys to kind of go at it for just one quarter at a time, and then kind of getting a little bit of a rest. I really enjoyed it. So that shout out to Wemby for kind of setting the tone there. But got to highlight the USA Stars, the younger guys, because they took home the title. Anthony Edwards went off in the championship game. He earned All-Star MVP honors. And then Kawhi Leonard, huge shout out to him at home in LA at the Intuit Dome. This guy balled out. He had 31 points in a 12-minute mini game. And that was an incredible performance by him, man. That was absolutely insane to watch. There was a stretch where it felt like he just wasn't missing. The ball kept going to him and he kept delivering. So shout out to Kawhi for balling out at home in front of the fans. And gotta love that, right? So now the next thing I gotta talk about to you guys is the fact that obviously after the All-Star game, you guys know that it's time for the playoff push. So we're gonna talk about the NBA playoff push. So now what I do want to talk about is obviously Cleveland, new look Cleveland Cavaliers. They're the hottest team in the East, right? Or one of the hottest teams in the East, I gotta say. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. And they are 5-1 since integrating James Harden into this team. He has taken Evan Mobley and Jared Allen to a new level. This guy is going to absolutely get his bigs more involved. The pick and roll is much more effective. Donovan Mitchell is doing excellent things. Not that he wasn't before, but he's able to kind of just take a little bit of a step back and just score, right? He doesn't have to worry about playmaking as much. And, he is turning it up a notch, and James Harden is an excellent fit for them. And realistically, they're tied for the 3rd seed in the NBA. So I really can see them making a strong push to be competitive in this year's, playoff. So, the big thing here is, can James Harden finally get over that playoff woe that he's constantly had throughout his career, right? Not performing in the biggest moments. So it'll be interesting to see if that can happen, but very excited to kind of see what this team is looking like, come playoff time. They're rolling right now. Some bad news, though. James Harden did get injured. I believe he has a fracture in his hand. I'm going to look that up right now to give you guys the exact injury. But I know that he can potentially miss some time. So he sustained a fracture in his right thumb in Tuesday's win over the New York Knicks. He's undergoing further evaluations and treatment options. So going to be very interesting to see kind of how he performs now, if he opts to not do like a surgery or something like that. And if he is out for some time, how long is he going to be out for? Terrible timing for the Cavs. They were rolling, especially with Harden. So going to be interesting to see kind of what goes on going forward. But again, I mentioned that they are one of the hottest teams in the Eastern Conference. Still got to give, props where they're due to the Detroit Pistons. They're 8-2 in their last 10, sitting atop the Eastern Conference as they have been all year long at 42-14. And then a shocker, right? The Boston Celtics without Jason Tatum, they're 9-1 in their last 10, sitting at the number 2 seed, having a 2-game lead over the Cavs and the Knicks, who are both tied for that 3rd spot right now. Listen, Jaylen Brown has been balling, man. If I'm not mistaken, the guy's averaging almost 30 points a game. 29.2 points a game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. He has been the number one option for the Celtics, and he has taken full control and full advantage of the opportunity. So shout out to him, man, for stepping up big time. Guys like Derek White, Peyton Pritchard have been solid for them all year long too. So the Celtics, man, there's also some news that Jason Tatum has been practicing in the G League. Do I think he should return this season? No, I do not think Jason Tatum should return this season. I think he should sit out the year, get fully healthy, because at the end of the day, here's what's going to happen, right? Jason Tatum's going to come back. If it's in the playoffs, right, he's going to come back. He's going to be on a minutes restriction. So then they have to integrate him into the bench unit first. Most likely he'll come off the bench, right? They integrate him into the offense that way. Things aren't going to flow as easily as they are right now, right? Because you're getting a superstar level player and putting them back into your lineup. Some guys who are filling certain roles right now are going to have to take a step back, not used to it after not having to do that all season long, right? Then eventually he'll get kind of put into the starting rotation once he gets back up to about 30 minutes a game, right? Then that takes away some touches from guys like Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard. Those players are kind of set and comfortable in the roles that they're in right now. If Jason Tatum comes back, that kind of disrupts the chemistry a little bit. Not saying it's a bad thing, right? Having a superstar level player like Jason Tatum back in your lineup, anybody will have that. But it will kind of disrupt the flow of the game for the Celtics for just a little bit. And that could be a little worrisome if they are trying to make a push. Because at the end of the day, I think the Pistons are a really good team, but they don't have a solidified second scorer that can kind of take them to that next level. Their defense is very, very efficient, but it's a lot on Cade's plate. It's going to be hard for him to have a bad game and for Pistons to still win, right? The Cavs, you never know with the Cavs. They've been a great team in the regular season and then kind of have choked it in the playoffs. So this is an opportunity for the Celtics. So kind of ruining any chemistry that they may have right now to include Jason Tatum down the stretch could potentially limit their chance of winning a championship or competing for a championship this year. So something to keep an eye out. Now, moving on, the Raptors looking really, really well. Brandon Ingram, Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, these guys are clicking as a unit offensively. Right now the Raptors are sitting at the 5 seed. And have been really solid over this season, definitely taking a step forward from last year. And it's going to be interesting to see kind of how they go throughout the rest of the season and then how they perform in the playoffs. So keep an eye on them as well. Now, when you look at the Western Conference, right, because of course, it's basically a bloodbath in the West, right? So the Rockets, obviously, been doing great this year. The number 3 seed in the West, 35-21. They are leaning heavily on Kevin Durant in the clutch, pulling out a gritty win over, I believe it was Charlotte was their last victory. No, my apologies. They pulled out a gritty win against the Hornets a couple days ago, then lost and choked a big-time lead to the Knicks on Saturday, and then kind of bounced back on Monday with a 20-point win against the Jazz. So the thing is with the Rockets, they need a point guard, right? They need a point guard. They've known that since the summer. They haven't addressed that issue. That's a problem for me. So I think that could be their kryptonite going down the stretch, not having a true leader to orchestrate the offense for the Rockets going down the stretch could be an issue for them going forward. But we'll see. Now, looking at, the rest of the Western Conference, obviously you got OKC sitting at the top still, 45-14. This team is ridiculously good, man. I mean, they're 7-3 in their last 10, and they're just rolling, man. I mean, absolutely rolling. It's actually crazy how good this team is. And this is with Shea missing some time, Jalen Williams missing some time, guys like that kind of in and out of the lineup. And then San Antonio, man, the team that's given them the most trouble this year, 41-16 at the number 2 seed in the West. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games. They are currently on a 9-game winning streak. That team is absolutely rolling. They have a really, really solid roster. Victor Wembanyama, De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Julian Champagnie, Dylan Harper, Harrison Barnes. This team is really, really solidly built, and I'm really excited to see how they perform in the playoffs this upcoming playoffs. Do I think that they can dethrone a team like the Thunder? No. I just think the Thunder are too good. But do I think that the Spurs can actually push them to the edge? 100%. I think that's going to be a very exciting matchup. Obviously, we know that Wemby takes that matchup against Chet to the next level. So that's going to be something that I keep an eye on going down the stretch to see when those two teams can potentially match up in the playoffs. So that's one to keep your eye on as well. And then, of course, you got Denver at 4, Minnesota at 5, the Lakers at 6, and then rounding out that play-in kind of area for the Western Conference, you got Phoenix at 7, Golden State at 8, Portland at 9, and the Clippers at 10. But there are some injuries, Stephen Curry, he's sidelined with a right knee bone bruise, and they are struggling without him. They are 7-12 without him this season, and sitting at that 8 seed, they are fighting for their lives. Obviously without Jimmy Butler as well. So they've had a tough season for the Warriors. They got rid of Jonathan Kuminga as well, and he balled out in his first game with the Hawks. So very, very tough season for the Warriors this year. We'll keep an eye on that, see when Steph can come back, and hopefully he can kind of turn the tide for the Warriors, right? Then outside of that, guys, the one thing I got to say is, the 65-game rule kind of thing for awards and things like that, they're being brought up again, right? The problem is, guys like Steph Curry are officially now disqualified from making All-NBA team. Other guys like Giannis, LeBron, AD, Joel Embiid, they're already out of, the eligibility requirements because of that rule, which sucks. Guys like Shea can only miss a certain amount of games. I think it's like 8 games for Shea and like 2 games for Jokic. So you're going to see guys that are truly qualified for these, season awards that aren't going to be even able to be a candidate at the end of the season because of this rule. So raises the question, do you guys think that we may see some change in that 65-game rule requirement going forward? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Now, as I mentioned earlier, ladies and gentlemen, I talk because it's starting real soon. Next week, I believe this time today, I'm recording this on Wednesday, February 25th. So I think next week we're going to see some of the pool play begin. So without further ado, let's talk about World Baseball Classic, guys, because I've been waiting for this one, man. I've been waiting for this. So actually just looked at the calendar. So this episode will come out. I'm recording it on Wednesday. This episode is going to come out tomorrow on Thursday, February 26th. So 1 week from when the episode drops, we have pool play for the World Baseball Classic. So I am super, super excited for that. And I got to give you guys the breakdown. So the World Baseball Classic happens every 3 years. Obviously, you guys know that, right? If you're following. But guys, we saw what happened in 2023, how things ended. Ohtani versus Trout, the world-class drama, the emotion, all that. Incredible. Absolutely incredible, guys. I'm so excited for this. But real quick, let me give you guys a format reminder on the World Baseball Classic. So it's 20 teams, 4 pools of 5 teams. The top 2 teams from each pool will move into the knockout stage, right? So first things first, let's talk about where. So we've got 4 iconic cities hosting the opening rounds, and the World Baseball Classic goes from March 5th to March 17th. So the 4 cities that we've got hosting are Tokyo, Japan, San Juan, Puerto Rico, Houston, Texas, and Miami, Florida. So Tokyo, obviously the reigning champs. If you haven't seen a game at the Tokyo Dome, the atmosphere is electric. There's chanting, there's drums, and it's a level of respect for the game that is close to none. I'll be honest with you. So then you've got San Juan, Puerto Rico. where my family is from. The WBC returns to Puerto Rico for the first time since 2013. So it's massive. The island's energy is incredible. And I think this is a time for this team to really kind of take it up a notch and really compete for a title this year. So it'll be interesting to see that one. Then you've got Houston, Texas, where the Astros play. Houston's making its WBC debut. They've been a baseball powerhouse for such a long time, and now they get to host the B pool of teams, and they'll host the quarterfinals as well. Then you've got Miami, Florida, Lone Depot Park, where the Marlins play. This will be where they host the Pool D teams, and then the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and the championship game on March 17th. So the championship game will be in Miami, Florida on March 17th. And now I want to give you guys a quick rundown of who is in this tournament, right? So you've got Pool A, which is going to be played in San Juan. You've got Puerto Rico, you've got Cuba, Canada, Panama, and Colombia. Puerto Rico is the favorites here in this pool, but don't sleep on Canada. They've got the Naylor brothers and a lineup that just can mash, right? So don't sleep on them. Pool B, which is played in Houston, you've got Team USA, Mexico, Italy, Great Britain, and Brazil. 2023 rematch between USA and Mexico in this pool. Mexico kind of humbled the U.S. in the last pool play, so USA definitely has that matchup circled on their calendar. Pool C, which is played in Tokyo, has Japan, South Korea, Australia, Chinese Taipei, and Czechia. Japan is the favorite here, but the rivalry between Japan, South Korea, and Chinese Taipei is one of the most intense atmospheres in this sport. So going to be interesting to see that. If I'm not mistaken, too, Chinese Taipei, this is the first time that they've made it to the WBC in quite some time. So let me just confirm that. When was the last time Chinese Taipei was in the WBC, which was, let's see, they competed in 2023 as well. I guess I thought it was a little bit longer. I guess I thought it was a little bit longer, but yeah, so they are returning. So that's, again, going to be something interesting to keep an eye on. And that is Pool C. Now, Pool D, this is probably one of the most competitive pools in the tournament. So you've got the Dominican Republic, you've got Venezuela, you've got Netherlands, Nicaragua, and Israel. So the DR and Venezuela are two teams that are both capable of winning the title. And they're fighting to just get out of the pool round, right? So, but Netherlands has always played giant killer. So this is going to be a pool to definitely keep your eye on for sure. Definitely watch those matchups as well. Now, let's talk stars and storylines, guys. So this isn't just spring training baseball. These are guys playing for their flag, their country. So this means a lot more to these players, right? So that's something that obviously you've seen the Olympics, right? Guys take the pride of wearing their country's colors to a different level. So Team USA is led by the captain, Aaron Judge, finally making his WBC debut. Then you've got also some of the young guns like Paul Skeens and Tariq Skubal, who are going to be headlining the rotation. So we've got some of the most dominant young pitchers in the MLB wearing the red, white, and blue. Going to be incredible to see. But this roster is missing a lot of players that were on that 2023 team that competed for a championship, right? No Mike Trout, no Trey Turner, and it's kind of it just leaves you wondering why. So I want to headline some of the guys on the roster for this year. So you've got for the USA team, pitching wise, you've got guys like Tariq Skubal, Logan Webb, Paul Skeens, Joe Ryan, Mason Miller, Clay Holmes, Matthew Boyd, Griffin. You've got some solid names on there. For the catcher, you got Cal Raleigh and Will Smith. Then rounding out those infielders, you got Alex Bregman, Ernie Clement, Paul Goldschmidt, Bryce Harper, Gunnar Henderson, Bryce Turang, Bobby Witt. Outfielders, you got Byron Buxton, Roman Anthony, PCA, Aaron Judge, Kyle Schwarber as the DH. So you've got some solid players on this roster, but again, missing some key players that were on that 2023 team. No Mookie Betts, No Trey Turner, no Mike Trout, some guys that kind of initially come to mind. So it just kind of leaves you wondering, right? Definitely going with a little bit of a younger group here. Fresh faces, some guys making their WBC debuts, right? So that's something to keep an eye on there. Now, and then we're going to look at Team Japan. They're one of the favorites to win this tournament, and rightfully so. I mean, they've had some roster turnover, but their pitching depth is incredible. And a key storyline that I do want to focus on here is that Puerto Rico playing in this tournament, you know, they've kind of been left at the altar in 2013 and 2017. I believe they were runner-ups in those years. They've got the home crowd in San Juan. This kind of feels like their now or never moment. You know, they're missing some stars, though, such as Carlos Correa and Francisco Lindor, because there was issues with insurance, right? Those guys couldn't get coverage. I get it, but it sucks, right? Because you're not going to see this team at full health. So let's highlight some of the players that they do have available for them, though. They've got, you know, Edwin Diaz, Jorge Lopez, Seth Lugo, some of the pitchers that we've got for them. You got, as the catchers, you got Christian Vasquez, Martin Maldonado. Infielders, you got Edwin Arroyo, Luis Vasquez, Emmanuel Rivera, Nolan Arenado. Got some solid players there. Outfielders, you got Willie Castro, you got Eddie Rosario, Heliot Ramos, MJ Melendez. The thing that sucks is you just don't have the same star power as other teams, right? So especially with some of those guys not being able to play with insurance. So going to be interesting to see how Puerto Rico can stack up. I do think, though, them being at home and playing some of those games at home can give them some extra juice. Now, one of the last storylines I want to highlight here before we get to the last part of the podcast and talk about predictions is that Tariq Skubal, the Tigers ace, back-to-back AL Cy Young winner, he's only going to make one start for Team USA, which questionable decision in my opinion, right? I get it. You know, I believe he's a free agent after this year, so he's looking to stay healthy and not get hurt and risk any potential earnings lost, right? I understand it. But he's scheduled to pitch on March 7th versus Great Britain. Then he's going to return to Tigers camp to stay on his spring training routine. He said he might still attend games if the U.S. makes a deep run. But again, him not being there and kind of taking up a roster spot for just one game is a little questionable to me. I don't really like that idea personally. I understand it. I just don't like it. But yeah, so just had to highlight that. That is obviously a big storyline because the back-to-back AL Cy Young winner is on this roster, but he's only going to be making one start, and it's in a pool play game against Great Britain. So definitely going to be interesting to see how Team USA kind of has their rotation set for after he departs. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure. But now let's get to the predictions part of the pod, guys. So again, you've got some big time teams in this tournament, right? So you've got USA. Name some of the guys on that team. Japan, obviously, you guys know who headlines that team, right? DR is another team that is a potential favorite to win this year, right? Now, those are the top three teams that I'm going to say have the biggest chance to win the title this year. Now, I'm going to say, though, that we see the Dominican Republic and Japan face off in the championship in Miami on March 17th. And I'm going to say that the Dominican Republic walks away with the win. Why? Because the roster is just too stacked, guys. I mean, talking offensively alone, you've got guys like Manny Machado, Ketel Marte, Juan Soto, Julio Rodriguez, Fernando Tatis Jr., Jeremy Pena. And then on top of that, you've got pitchers like Christopher Sanchez, Sandy Alcantara, Brian Bello, and so many more big names on this roster, just kind of littered throughout this entire roster. The DR didn't make that push in the 2023 WBC, got bounced earlier than expected. I think they come back this year with a chip on their shoulder, and I think they ball out. And I think that they take the title this year and become the 2026 WBC champion. So those are my predictions. And that's everything you need to know for the World Baseball Classic, guys. So again, pool play starts on March 5th. The championship is on March 17th. So we're going to try to keep the content going and keep you guys updated as much as possible because it's going to be a good tournament. I'll tell you right now, I'll be watching a lot. I'm super, super excited for this tournament, and I cannot wait. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you guys know we're going to call that an episode. So you guys know what's coming next. I'm going to ask you guys to do me a huge favor, right? Like the podcast or like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, family, coworkers. Like I said, we are sitting at 97 subscribers right now on the channel. We can hit that 100 subscriber mark real soon, guys. And when I say real soon, I mean, let's get it today. Let's get it today. Why not? Share with your friends, family, coworkers, anybody who needs to know about anything. NBA, WBC, we're talking about it all here on the pod. Make sure you share it. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. And don't forget, if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok. The link is in the bio or in the description. So make sure you guys click that link, follow us on those channels, and be sure to get all Figures of Sport content right there whenever you want it. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.